Hello, this is Jen from Windrose Fiber Studio. Today we're learning how to crochet the double crochet cluster stitch. To create this stitch, you'll need to start with a beginning chain that is a multiple of 2 plus 3. I'm chaining 19, so I'm using 16 as my multiple of 2. 2 times 8 is 16, and then adding 3 for my sample. Keep your beginning chain a little bit loose because you'll be working into these stitches. I like to work into the back bumps of my beginning chain, but it's perfectly fine if you like to work into the side. I'm going to slow things down for just a moment. On row 1, we jump right in with our very first double crochet cluster. Yarn over, insert your hook into the 4th chain from your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2. Now you're going to yarn over again. You're going to skip the next chain, this one right here, and we'll insert our hook into the following chain. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over and pull through the 3 remaining loops on your hook. After that cluster, chain 1, and then we begin our repeating pattern for row 1. You'll work a double crochet cluster beginning in the last stitch made. You can see that I've done my yarn over and I'm going back into that last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, skip the next chain, and insert your hook into the following chain. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through 3, and then you'll always chain 1 after a double crochet cluster. We're back to the beginning of the repeat. You'll work your double crochet cluster beginning in the last stitch made. Then you'll chain 1, and you'll continue this all the way across. Here I am with one cluster left to go. I'll chain 1 at the end of that cluster and then work a double crochet into the very last stitch. If you've ever crocheted the V-stitch, this is very much like doing an upside down V-stitch. You're basically working a double crochet decrease, skipping 1 stitch in between. We're ready to move on to row 2. Start off by chaining 3 and turning your work. Your first double crochet cluster will begin in this very first stitch. You'll be skipping the chain 1 and working the second half of your cluster into the next stitch. Then chain 1. You'll cluster by working into the last stitch made, skipping the chain 1 and going into the next stitch to complete the cluster, and then chain 1. You'll be repeating this pattern all the way across. Two things to make note of just to keep you on track with this cluster stitch is that you're always going to chain 1 after a cluster, and that you'll never be working your cluster into a chain 1 space. If you're working into a chain 1 space, then you've missed a stitch somewhere. It's time to go back and look for that error because your clusters will always be made into stitches and not chain 1 spaces. After you complete your last cluster in chain 1, you can either work a double crochet in or around the turning chain. I think it's easier just to go around that chain. You can see I'm inserting my hook just between the turning chain and the cluster next to it. I feel that this is faster and easier and basically looks the same. To carry on with the double crochet cluster stitch, you'll continue to repeat row 2. You'll chain 3 and turn, work your first cluster beginning in that first stitch, chain 1, and then you'll cluster and chain 1 across. After that last cluster, you'll either work a double crochet in the top of the turning chain or around the turning chain. Here's my sample after just a few more rows. I love that doing just a simple twist on a classic stitch like the double crochet can give you such a beautiful piece of fabric. This is so easy to do, and I hope it's something that you'll enjoy incorporating into your stitch library. If you already know how to double crochet, this builds on that skill and gives you something else in your wheelhouse the next time a pattern calls for double crochet. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.